Welcome to Pampas and Pencils. This is episode 6. My name is Galee, the owner of Pampas Gal.
My name is Orlandice, owner of Interiors and Point and Top Contracting.
And this episode, it's called Behind the Design. Thanks for hanging out with us. Grab a coffee and let's get started.
So, Galee, how are you? Did you see? I see memes everywhere. Did you see that slap by Will Smith to Chris Rock?
Yes.
I actually wanted to bring this up because it's very inspiring what he did. I know, any physical violence is not like I don't condone it, but the fact that he stood up for his wife that had that suffers from alopecia and hair loss is like, it's so touching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was just like very shocked when I saw it. I was just like, holy cow, did that just actually happen? And oh man, it was crazy. It's wild.
First I was like, was this staged?
Yeah. Well, because like I saw him laughing like right before, like the camera like showed him laughing as Chris Rock was like saying a joke, and then right after he was getting up and slapping him. So I was like, did he like glance over at Jada, or was it just like it just happened so fast?
Yeah, I think it's because he threw a joke about her hair loss, and one thing I've suffered from having hair loss since I was the age of 19. That's when I started noticing I always had fine hair, and my youngest daughter is kind of following me in my genetics.
Yeah.
So, but I just start to embrace it because I've personally went to a lot of dermatologists. I've tried change my diet and stuff. I know I need to be better at it. Mm-hmm. And there's some like procedures out there that you could do, but I could really relate and look up to Jada of what she was suffering. And I feel joking around with a health issue like that, especially with a woman that is dealing with that, could really hurt their self-esteem.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know their full story right now because I'm not really caught up with current events, but like I heard that they've been also getting a lot of heat with like their relationship too.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably all comes into play emotionally too. Like that's a lot to deal with.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. They're on the limelight, so everything's out there. Mm-hmm. But that is like a touchy subject not to joke about.
Yeah.
So I can understand that because I have dealt with it, or I'm still dealing with it. That's why like I love my hairstylist Sam. She makes me feel
like the best.
The best. I do wear a lot of hair extensions, and sometimes I feel like it makes me feel good, so I like change them out and stuff like that. But she is amazing. My stylist Sam from Culture Studio, which is located in Sundays downtown.
Okay. Oh, I've been there. I love that space. Yeah. It's so like lively and so beautiful. Yeah.
She is amazing. She's been my hairstylist since I was probably in my teens.
Wow.
I'll put her in the link.
Oh yeah. We'll put her down there.
Yeah. Talking about current events and stuff. So what is happening with you, Galee?
There's so much happening. So I am contemplating if I should open up a storefront right now, and it's like the most nerve-wracking thing because it like really, you know what like Wilson said last week, where he's like, you're no longer playing with Monopoly money. It's like tangible, real hard cash that you're like putting down on the line. That's how I feel like right now, because it's like if I fully commit to a lease, it's just I'm going to be tied to that place for a specific term, and I'm so used to being mobile, like on the go, and being able to run a business while still like traveling around the city and working from home, that thinking about opening up a storefront is like the most nerve-wracking thing. But I also think I'm just trying to weigh the consequences of like if this is too early in my business, or if it's the right time. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about for the last week. And then I forgot to mention I just landed a new sales channel
What?
with Loblaws.
No way!
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so they reached out to me, and then they're like, "Hey, like we like your products. Do you want to sell on our platform?"
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so crazy that like I'm like
Wow.
with all these big box conglomerate like grocery stores.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. That is
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, and then seeing those opportunities, I'm like, I should just stick to the online world for now, and then just think about the storefront later. But yeah, how about you? What's new and upcoming?
Oh my gosh. I am not sleeping. We hit our busiest,
Yeah.
which is, we're going into spring and everybody wants to renovate.
Yeah.
Or they've been tied up at home in the winter and they're like, okay, we don't like this kitchen. But it always happens like that.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the most busiest for us. And this is when you do come to a time when you select the projects that you want to go forward with. Yeah. Because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Like I'm feeling overwhelmed and like not hitting my design release points, which it kills me.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you have a structure for your business,
Yeah.
and you want to like
Hit it.
maintain that ideal structure.
Yeah. And but I feel we have really cool projects that are coming up that I'm super excited to start showcasing, but there is a time for that. You're going to see us pump out some really cool projects in the next few months.
Yeah.
That Interiors on Point and Top Contracting have been working on.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are there any new industries? Like, because you have a lot of salons and boutiques. Are they the same? Are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are still continuing in that industry.
Yeah.
I do like working in the commercial boutique and salon and spa.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where my strong suit is at. And I do residential.
Okay. Yeah.
We do have a lot of residential projects, and I like being that chameleon, working in both.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. Congrats. Oh, I'm so excited because like we were both talking about how we felt a little rocky with our business and we weren't sure like if it's going to turn up. And we always feel like that where it's like there's really high highs and then there's really low lows. And now that it's springtime, I think for both of us, we are seeing like a turn up again. And it's just so nice because like that, it relieves that anxiety. It gives us more confidence in making decisions and like kind of go.
I agree. And this is the time we don't sleep. Yeah, we sleep at odd hours now because we're just work, and then we'll like hide away.
Yeah.
Take a nap. I've taken your advice and now I'm taking naps.
Napping is the best thing. Like, I mean, of course, it's not ideal to not sleep. I feel like we know that. But like the best way to go about it is to nap in between so that you can still rack in your minimum. Like I try to stay as a minimum of 8 hours, but like even if you can get 6 hours in that day and you break it up, like let's say you sleep for 4 hours and then you break up some naps in between the day, like to sleep for like an hour or something. Like at least you can kind of catch up on your sleep in a way. Your
agree.
body will thank you for it.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Or just pay to go to a float tank and then you're forced to sleep for an hour.
So what is your affirmation?
My affirmation this week is I am capable of taking bigger steps in my business. Yesterday, when I really thought about how I could potentially open a storefront, I was on the phone with Wilson and he was like, you have a lot of limiting beliefs that he's like, I don't know those are, but like you like I could combat those limiting beliefs to allow myself to like make those bigger decisions because right now I am in a brink of fear. Like there's so much anxiety and fear in making that decision and making that leap, and I have to ask myself, is it because I'm logically trying, like, is it a reasonable reason why I'm fearful, or is it an emotional response where it's not logical, right? So Yeah, I think I just want to tell myself, like, that when I feel fear, that might be the next step. I mean, obviously, still do my research, so I'm not like leading with only my emotions, but to listen to that fear and just to
Your
remind
gut.
myself that, like, girl, if this scares you, just believe that you can accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of my thing this week.
And it's like pushing you out of your comfort zone. And then when you are pushed out to your comfort zone, that's when you feel fear and anxiety, and you're like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah, you tend to
Yeah.
move away from it. But
Yeah.
to be honest, like, even when I started Pampas Gal, I felt that same fear. And look at where it is now. I chose to listen to the fear and go full force into my fear, right? So this is one of those cases where it's like, okay, Galee, like, is this the same thing where you should be going full force with the fear, or is your fear actually because you might not be able to make rent, you know? Like, so I'm playing with the logic versus like the emotional, and
But you're doing so good.
yeah, so I'm hoping that even if I don't open the storefront, I still apply that affirmation to something bigger. Like, there is always going to be other opportunities. So what is that bigger step for me now? So yeah, just reminding myself of that.
Yeah. It's like that hockey stick. You just have to.
Yes, go for
Go
it.
up. Yeah.
How about you? What's your affirmation for the week?
I know the last couple of episodes, I kept one affirmation, which is I am focused. But now I'm going to up that a bit. And I am creative, because
Ooh.
I've been hitting a really bad creative block. And I've realized when you hit that block in your life, like the creativity, and it's just not coming to you, it's like, it's probably based on, dealing with your inner, like, you have to deal with your inner self first. So I am creative, because whatever I touch or whatever, I get really excited when it comes to design, and I know I love pumping out creative design.
Yeah, we were just saying this before we started recording. I was like, I use Pinterest a lot for my inspiration, and she's like, I try not to be on Pinterest, because she's like, I really want to be original with my design so that it becomes viral on Pinterest, right?
Yeah.
And I love that mindset, it's like that, and that is a lot of pressure, because if you're not in that creative place, then it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
Well, Pinterest is you could scroll on Pinterest for hours, and you're like, wow, it's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
But Pinterest is amazing. But when I ask clients, like, just send me a few inspos. That's it.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna make the design that you're gonna see on Pinterest.
Yeah. So we have a I don't know if you want to call it disappointing announcement, but we have decided, we put so much thought into this, and Orlandice and I just feel a little like this is a really busy season for both of us, and we intended originally to start and launch our in-person workshops in the summer, and we have had to make a really hard decision to decide that we're going to be pushing these workshops in probably the fall. So we're going to just, work on our business with the summer, and then really create workshops that are, like, we want them to be amazing. Like, we do not want to half-ass it.
Yeah.
And so we want to give you guys the best of the best and work on those workshops hopefully by the end of summer, and then moving into mid-fall is like likely when we'll launch it. So yeah, like a little bit of a pushback, but I think it's gonna be all worth it, because I know we're all gonna, like, I'm sure you, our listeners, are going to have a really busy summer as well, like, as things are getting lifted. So I think it's all for the best.
I think so too, and we don't want to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
We need her to have sleep. Me too.
I feel this would be really good, because I know with everything opening up, there's going to be a party boom. There's going to be so much going on, and then there's going to be a party fatigue. And so when that dips down to that party fatigue, that's when we're gonna come out and be like, hey,
we'll liven it up again.
we are still going to be doing our workshops with our partner venues, and we are still going to be using artists and stuff. But it's going to be pushed towards the end of the year. But we are so thankful and so grateful, and it's so exciting how crazy this podcast is doing so great. So we wanted to continue with this and put our energy not only in our businesses but into
this podcast.
Pampas
and pencils. Actually, I had someone reach out to me the other day. Shout out to Angie from Ang Hill. She reached out to me and she wants to be one of the creators potentially for our workshop. She's like, hey, can you give me more information for the workshop, because I would love to be a part of it somehow. And then I had to give her the disappointing appointment that is pushed back, but she's like, she really wants to be a part of it. And there's some other business owners that really want to be a part of our workshop. So it's really awesome to hear this feedback. And this medium of podcasting has been so great, because like we might not be able to talk to every single business owner out there constantly, because we have so many people and so many networks around us. But this podcast has been like a great uniting way for people who do want to work with us to kind of like hear in on what we're up to, stay caught up with our lives.
It's really kind of neat, because I had someone say, oh, I follow your work, and I actually listened to the podcast, and I was like, whoa. I was like, wow, I didn't think that would like hit chills, because we are working so hard that we kind of like, we are in this bubble, and we don't think about that kind of, when we hit those points or like those inspirations with other people.
Like we don't know who is receiving the information. You know what I mean? Like we're going about doing what we truly feel passionate about, but we don't know who's listening. And so that's why I always say, like, when we get feedback from people, and when we get feedback from you guys who are listening, who just took an hour out of your time to listen while you're working or whatever you're doing, it is so appreciated, because I know who you are, but I didn't know that you heard me, right? And so it's really cool to just even get that message to say, hey, I heard your podcast. I'm like, oh my God, cool.
I know, it's so humbling. So we really appreciate that. And workshops are still a go. It's going to be pushed back, and it's going to be amazing. And also we have really cool news that we are going to be doing a season celebration at our ending with a cool venue in the city. We're not going to release yet. We're going to have her on the podcast.
Yes. Ooh, I'm so excited.
Instead of doing a launch party, we're actually going to do a season ending party.
I don't know what we're going to call it, but it's still a kind of a brand launch, but almost like a brand celebration. Like this Pampas and Pencils, like our house brand passion project, like we're more than just a podcast, and we want this to be like, we see a very long-term game with Passion Project, and we're just at the beginning little bit of it. So I feel like even though we're not doing a brand launch party, it's still a brand launch party, because we're in it for the long run. You know what I mean? So it still feels like a brand launch party, but we are pushing it to after our first season of podcasting.
And all of our guests will be there. So that we've had on our previous episodes. And so we have really exciting things. We did tweak a little things, but it's to make it wonderful.
And I hope that all of our listeners, like, if you can come to our launch party, like, that would be so cool to see people face to face and be like, oh my gosh, cool, and like just have fun and just relax, listen to good music, vibe, and like you guys can get to see us and what we're about. And Orlandice is probably gonna work on the interior design and try to like create the space that we're going to be like living in and partying in. And so it's gonna be a good time.
So we'll definitely have the details out as soon as everything is organized and set in stone. I probably in the next few weeks. And thank you for following us, and we're excited to keep sharing our journey with you guys.
Yes. Okay, let's move into the topic of the day.
Behind the design.
Yeah.
So, this is kind of, I guess, this is kind of in our element. From our last previous episodes, we really talked about into more of, creating as an entrepreneur. But now this is something that Galee and I do on a daily basis, which is design. Mm-hmm. She designs for, spaces, weddings, as I also design for commercial and residential. So we thought maybe we would pick our own brains, and you guys could listen into our kind of our creative side. Let's get started.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so interior design. I'm going to start with interior design, because interior design is a space itself, and then it trickles down to interior decor and to like the functionality. And I get a lot of questions like, what is interior design? Mm-hmm. And interior design is more than picking colors. I always like saying that. I'm like, oh, we don't just pick colors.
Yeah.
You need to know more of the construction of the room. It could get really more detail of like the construction of the room. If you want to take down a wall, if the wall is bearing, it gets very technical that way.
Yeah.
So let's get into our topic today, which is behind the design.
Yes.
So Galee and I, which you've known, we have a design background, and both of our businesses are in interiors decor and interior design, and we thought this would be kind of a cool episode to kind of pick up both of our brains,
the creative side of our brain,
and you get to know a little bit about our brain and how we work and how we came about design.
Yes. What's our design mindset? I think that's like the coolest thing, because every designer is different, and how you conceptualize and how you go about the why of the decisions that you make is like the really neat part about designers.
Yeah, it's a psychology.
Yeah, so I have a few questions for you. So I guess to start off, what is the definition of interior designer? What is it?
Interior designer. So an interior designer is someone who could visualize a space before it's being done.
Okay.
I could truly say that designers, we are visionaries, and that is our superhero power.
Yeah.
Is because when we come into a space and a client be like, I vision this and this and this, and it's really hard for some people or majority of people to actually visualize the space being done before it's being done.
Yeah.
As a designer already knows what it looks like. It already has an image that's already downloaded in their brain of an object, place, even the finishing touches of that space. And that's what truly makes a designer is a visionary.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then you can communicate that back to the client who like was able to see parts of it. And you can just like really bring all the pieces together.
Oh, we create, which I strongly recommend, is like we create kind of like guide, that map.
Mm-hmm. Map, I love that. A roadmap
to that design, that end result, which creates, we use visuals, which I use 3D renderings.
Yeah.
I love coming up with realistic renderings, which you could see in, my Instagram.
Yeah.
I do like to showcase even on our website.
Yeah. Sometimes they look really real. I'm like, holy, like, I love your 3D renderings, because I get to see a concept and visualize it. I'm like, ooh, that's possible for my home. Like, especially if you've living in your home for like, let's say 30 years. Let's just say, for example, it's hard to kind of see like how it can completely turn into a different design.
I agree, and so we use these visuals for clients. We have boards, we bring samples. Clients need to see, touch, and feel.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to feel the samples. They need to see what it's going to look like, because this is what makes them visualize it. As we already, we're taking what's in our brain and putting it on paper.
Yeah.
And we use different avenues to create these visuals for clients.
I love that.
And for trades, we do drawings. We have to do these drawings for trades. So the trades has a map to
see what the final look looks like,
and to kind of go by, okay, this is where for sure we're gonna do, this is where the plugs are gonna go, this is what plug we need to do. Like it's so technical when it comes to designer. It's not just
the aesthetic.
No.
Yeah, there's a whole technical side to it
Yeah.
too. Gotcha. So what's like the mindset behind a designer? Like what kind of questions do you ask clients to like be able to give you the solutions that you need?
So I always and I work in both residential and commercial. I like working in both. So I do have different questions when it comes to a commercial client or a residential client. But when it comes to a residential client, I always ask, what do you like about your space? Because there's things that we could pick what they already like around the space, and things that we could enhance their quality of living, which is the functionality of the space.
Yeah.
And if they want to hey, we want a new kitchen, but I just feel like this needs to be here. And there's a psychology of how, a working triangle when it comes to a kitchen, and what needs they need. If they are a baker, we're going to have to transition that design to the needs of a baker. If they don't cook as much, but they use it for entertaining and stuff, maybe we'll do a nice long island, and so they could use it as a buffet. There is so much when it comes to
yeah. Oh man, I've been watching so many YouTube videos on home, $1 million homes. I'm manifesting. And it's so fun. It's so crazy that some houses, they have 2 dishwashers, and I'm like, in what world would I need 2 dishwashers? And then I think about it, I'm like, actually, if I was so busy, and then you didn't get the chance to unload the first dishwasher yet, then you have to wash dishes, especially if you cook a lot. I'm like, okay, now I can see why you would need 2 dishwashers, but that's such a luxury that I'm like, I cannot foresee myself having that yet.
I'm not gonna lie, my future house is gonna have 2 dishwashers.
She's the ideal home buyer for that home.
Well, when it comes to so going back to yes, I love that. I'm thinking about that right now because my sink is really full of dishes right now. And when you have kids, you're they would take a cup, use it once, and then they would take another one. I'm just use the same cup.
Yeah. So now I can start to see. I'm like, okay, I can see how that's very viable. And then sometimes I'll see they'll have a wine rack or something cooler in the kitchen. I'm like, okay, that's really cool. To be able to store your wine separately, or even just your pop and juices and stuff like that for guests to be able to pop in and
I agree. A lot of questions that I do ask is budget. Budget is a very huge one. I could not what is your budget? And this is what I've learned. I've really learned to know what things cost now, especially in my first year of business and working on projects. And I'm not the budget of everything. It does add up. So what is your budget? What are you willing, if your budget's a certain amount, what are you willing to go for, and what we could do after? I usually kind of like doing that. What are your needs? Your needs come first, your budget, and then what would you like to see, fun-wise? We could throw something in, a want or something, right?
Something different, but you're not sure exactly if you want it. Yeah.
And style.
Yeah.
So what is your style?
For let's say example, you have a client who's not creative at all. So when you ask the question, what is your style? If they don't know how to answer that, how do you get that answer?
So I do like to ask them, hey, have you gone to any, show homes? Have you watched any, HGTV shows, or what do you think you like even on Pinterest or Instagram? Like, send me something that you like. And once they usually send me that photo, I'm like, okay, like I know
you can kind of pinpoint
where they like. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, sometimes people just might not be able to explain it, and like,
No.
but like, I guess, do you have a rough idea of like, I guess maybe I don't know how to frame this, but like templates of styles in your head, like.
I do. And when you're in the spaces, I always like to do the consultations in the space. When I'm ready in their home, I'm looking at their personal stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, okay, I know what they like. I know what their style is, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can totally relate to that. Yeah. I would like when I sometimes I ask people like, what's your like, in the marketing world, I would like ask them like, what's your favorite store to shop at? Like, what's your fashion style, or what's your music taste? Because that actually gives me a little bit of insight on their artistic side, I guess, or maybe like their more creative side, not related to what we're doing, but like, I don't know, it's just like a nice compliment to give me a better picture.
I agree. Yeah. Even I asked what colors you hate.
The opposite of what you don't want. Yes, yeah.
I always ask the opposite too. I'm like, okay, they don't like red.
Yeah.
We are good.
Completely wiping that off. Yeah. I love that. So like another thing, like when it comes to design and construction, I understand that it's essentially a project management team. Like there's timelines when you need a constructor worker. You need a time when you need an architecture potentially, or electrician. So within the timeline of a project, let's just say like commercial, when does an interior designer come in? At what stage?
Interior designer is the first person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are the first person. I know when it comes to, we develop the project. So if you are going to do a full reno, you need all the consultants when it comes to engineering, architect, designer. We are at the front end.
I see.
Because we are creating that project.
Yeah.
And that project, when it comes to designer, we create the drawings, the selections, and the visuals.
Yeah.
And we put again, it's a little map, it's a guide, and that is sending forward and works relations to the architect.
Yeah.
Because
you set up all of the work, like you set up all the vendors. I guess in retail we call it vendors. What would you call it? Like
there would be
contractors,
like trade partners, and our suppliers.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And then from there we create like the cabinet drawings, like the visual of the inside.
Yeah.
And then if we're removing a wall, if it comes to residential, we need an engineer to stamp it and oversee it, especially if we are moving a bearing wall. Do we need to do posts, beams, and pads in the basement?
Yeah.
It gets very technical that way.
Yeah.
I do have an architecture background, so I'm very when it comes to that type of structural, I already know what
the technical
I need to do. Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, oh man, one day I need to follow you on like a whole project. Like, even if it takes 6 months, I want to be able to like video record you and be like, this is step 1. This is design and blueprint. Like, that would be so fun.
We should do that.
Because like, yes, it might take like 6 months for you to like build, I don't know how long your average project is, but like, if we took snippets of like the day in the life of a designer, or like the step 1 to step 12 or whatever it is, that would be so cool.
We should do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Creative on the fly. I think a probably common question like that I even have is like, what's the difference between interior designer and interior decorator?
Okay, so I can relate to every interior designer out there. This is one question we truly want to set straight.
Yes. Let's hear it.
Yeah. An interior designer, we are more technical. And when it comes to technical, we design from the construction to the end. So we draft, we know the inside of the walls, we are more technical code. We need to know our codes, we need to know, we work with other consultants when it comes to electricians. Interior decorator does too, but we go more in depth creating the drawings, the construction drawings, the working drawings, the elevations, the colors, the specifications. And we also bring that and work alongside a contractor, architect towards the end. So we have schooling, more schooling, interior bachelor degree.
Yeah.
And also, like, I have an architecture background, so there is more schooling that goes into an interior designer, which could be an interior architect as well, right?
Okay. Would you say that an interior decorator is the last on the timeline?
Yes. So interior decorator is very cosmetic. So it's like the draperies, the fabrics, the flooring. They do selections and stuff there too. But an interior decorator could also work alongside an interior designer or an architect too, right? So, but it's not as depth and technical as an interior designer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is just my working in the field for how many years and what I've done. In my opinion, that's just what I've
Gotcha.
My definition.
I think like even what I see is like interior designer, they like you can definitely, like the interior designer will help you with the foundation of stuff. Like, so if you want to rip off an entire like flooring or rip off like this completely recompose like a wall, or take down a wall, like there's like way more things you can do in interior designer, whereas like interior decorator, in my eyes, I guess, is just like, this is what the space already is. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
How are you going to furnish it?
Yeah, it's not construction-wise, like it's more cosmetic.
Yeah.
As interior decorator or designer, could go more in depth.
Yeah.
And have more creations.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Well, I'm going to switch this around to you.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know more about like your design background and Pampas Gal. When I met you, you were just doing, the products and stuff. Now you're doing so much creative stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick your brain.
Yeah. So my background is in marketing. It's in marketing and in retail. So I used to work in retail, and then I was also a retail consultant for the U Alberta School of Retailing. And so I've always loved like the space of retail, like creating experiences for people to walk in and feel something. Like that's just like what I love. And so going into Pampas Gal, like it was always just a product-based business with the potential to create more experiential, like I guess experiential I guess including backdrops and just events. Like I wanted to kind of be around events. And so just having the products out there was like the start of Pampas Gal. I knew that somehow, some way I wanted to get into the event space, whether it be working with a corporation and they needed a backdrop for their party, or working with weddings, or working with you where I get to actually put my products into a boutique or somewhere where their clients get to experience it every single day. So I knew that like long-term journey, this is like the next step for me now.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
Now that you are, transitioning and moving into the wedding industry and you meet with your clients, what questions do you like to ask your clients in order to create that bouquet and arrangement for them?
Yeah. So I like to ask them first off, like, what are their colors? Because some brides, even though, let's say their bridesmaids dresses, let's say is like a nice rust orange color for fall, they might not actually want rust at all in their flowers because they want the dresses to stand out. So first off, I asked them what their actual theme colors are. So what's their groomsmen's attire looking like? What's their bridesmaids attire looking like? Where's the venue? Because then I can Google and check to see what the venue's vibe is like. And then from there, I asked them, so do you want to incorporate the venue colors and your dress colors into the florals? Sometimes it's a yes. Sometimes it's like, no, I want the florals to be completely neutral so that the attire can stand out.
That's awesome. So that is, and then you not only do weddings, you stage with your products. And I want to know, what is your process when it comes to staging a space?
So when it comes to staging a place, knowing how big the space is like probably the biggest thing. And then knowing who, so this is where I kind of pull in my marketing background, like who is the ideal demographic that we're trying to appeal to, because it's not the owners who I'm trying to appeal to in that situation. Commercial projects are fun in that way because, again, it's not about what the owner wants. It's about what is going to allow more traffic to come into that store or restaurant or, this photography space. So there's more strategy in that, and I get to be more collaborative with the owner of the space and be like, hey, this is my thought process in marketing and why I think we should go more towards this direction, whether it be colors, whether it be textures, or like what type of like florals we're creating. So, a huge thing is like what the market actually wants now. Yeah. So what's in season? I do like to kind of break down my projects in seasons. So for weddings, it's like, okay, are you a fall wedding or are you a summer wedding? For commercial, it's like, cool, is this space going to be for summer or fall? And like, with that being said, what do the clients want for that space in that season, in that time?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And also, I see a lot of backdrops that you're doing and creating. They're absolutely beautiful. I know you have one in a cafe in Sherwood Park.
Yeah. It's a giant like Pampas cloud.
Yeah. So what is your creative process when it comes to creating these backdrops?
Mm-hmm. I use Pinterest a lot. I know, kind of opposite of you, because you're like, I don't want to be on Pinterest. I use Pinterest a lot, and because like I don't have a floral background, but I have a marketing background, and so like I can see what the market and like what is like trendy right now, and so I use Pinterest as like something that I would see in trend, and then I try to pull inspiration. Like, so what else is in trend that is like not related to dried florals? So right now I know that in fashion and just Instagram in general, that neoclassical vibe is like super in. Yeah. So like if you if you scroll through Instagram and you see like people holding coffee, holding a bouquet of flowers, and it's like very Parisian. It's like very like French vibe. So I try to pull in inspiration from other creative sources, and then I build a Pinterest board with the dried florals, with the vibe of like the textures, architectural textures, and then see like how I can build it. So Morning Brew at Sherwood Park was one of those things where I knew Pampas clouds were really in, but I wanted to bring in that industrial vibe. So like I found like iron piping from like Home Depot, and then there's like, if you look at it, it's super cool. Maybe I'll put a photo, but there's like silver chains.
I saw that.
Yeah,
that looks so cool.
Like holding the Pampas cloud, and like I don't think I've seen that done on Pinterest before.
So how long does it take to create these backdrops?
The design process, it probably takes me like 30 minutes to like, sometimes it could take me a few days because I like to kind of mull over my ideas, take a nap, wake up, and then kind of like think about it. And then doing it, I don't know, like it's not that long. It's like, it probably takes me like 5 to 8 hours.
Nice.
I don't know if that's long or not. Yeah. So what is the benefits of hiring an interior designer?
There is a lot of benefits when it comes to hiring an interior designer. It is that he or she will create a plan for you, whether it is construction drawings, a floor plan, a furniture plan, and then from there it'll help you, guide you, select materials, specifications that are needed for the space. Mm-hmm. It is well needed, especially when you don't know where to start. As the interior designer actually helps and guides you and creates that project that you could take and continue on and install or construct. Yeah,
you essentially create like a timeline. Like I know we were saying roadmap earlier, but essentially like it creates like a step-by-step process
Yeah.
for that person, right? Because like usually going into design or even just building a new space, there's so many steps that are involved and so abstract. You are able to take the abstract and like make it concrete of like a tangible timeline.
I agree. And we all go to school. When we go to school, we are taught the psychology behind how things are laid out. It's kind of cool. There's a psychology even behind color.
Yes.
Selecting a color or what direction is the building facing to select the color. It's just, there is a whole psychology in itself, especially how we live in our space. And we live in spaces that are to enhance and emphasize our quality of living.
Yeah, I can understand that so well because in marketing, it's the same thing. Like, some people think like, oh, marketing is like manipulation of people's perception to sell something to you, but it's more than that. There is a psychology of like being able to, I guess, like I like what you said about creating. What did you say? Creating a lifestyle?
Creating a quality of life.
Quality of life. Yeah, and for me, it's like, again, it's creating an experience for people, something that's memorable and something that like people could take away and feel something. And so I love connecting those dots with marketing and interior design because it's the same sort of process.
It is.
Where you're thinking about the end user, who's experiencing this, and what do we want them to feel? Because if you were to just hire a contractor to like go, I don't know, finish a build, and like it kind of, you don't necessarily tick all the boxes with the five senses, the psychology. I'm just gonna throw some brands out there, but like when you walk into like an Aritzia, I'm sure most of our listeners have walked and been into Aritzia. You can really feel that they put effort into the design details, and it seasonally changes. Like, when it's winter, the vestibule is like, the puffer jackets, and like they have snowflakes and snow stuff coming down, hanging on the vestibule. And then, in the summertime, you see palm trees and stuff that will actually bring in plants and stuff like that, right? So really, like,
it's a whole psychology itself, and I think interior design, it's all emphasizes the feel. You're right.
Feels.
You want to know what that client is going to want to feel like, and so you want to create that ambiance, which it could be with lighting, textures, and we bring that all into a space for them, because some clients were like, how do I get that? How do I get that look? How do I get that feel?
Yeah.
But they hire us to get them to that point.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We both, Orlandice and I, are the creators of the feels. We're like, that's with Pampas Gal too. Like, when people ask me why I got into it, it's like, honestly, it makes me feel happy. Like, it makes me feel like there's a ray of sunshine in my home when I see pampas grass and palm leaves in my house, because like it reminds me of the beach and like the tropical regions. Like, we cannot grow pampas grass in Edmonton, but like when I get pampas grass inside of my home, it's like, now I feel like I'm in a desert. So I love that.
It's really cool, and there is a lot of benefits to hiring an interior designer. I know a lot of people were like, oh, I don't need an interior designer, I'll do it myself. But then they come to a point, they're like, how do I put all of this together? Like, I can't visualize this. Like, what do I need? And we go to school to figure out what products to put into a space. Finishings, like the psychology of placement. There's certain placements to like, and scales and measurements and standards of placing things.
Not only that, like from a business owner standpoint, like why I would hire you is sometimes I just need something done. Like, timeline wise, I want someone to, I would be able to build it on my own, but it might take me 6 months because I don't have the time allotted and I don't have the expertise. So everything that I do would be like learning it for the first time. Like I might be learning how to paint for the first time. I might be learning how to drywall for the first time. Whereas like if I hire a professional, it's like, cool, the timeline is 3 weeks versus 6 months. And as a business owner, time is super valuable. And it might just be the reason why that I just contract that out and have it completely taken care of for me.
And those contractors oversee that timeline because they already are connected to the suppliers, the trades, and so they oversee that schedule. And if they were a bump in the road in that timeline, they go to you and let you know.
Just communicate.
Yeah, like I know, especially with right now with the supply chain demand and the products that are coming in are a lot longer lead time, but it just you kind of plan ahead and you're like, okay, well, if it's gonna come in October, like let's order it now, and then we'll plan the project. So we are very strategic along, sometimes when we do step on like a problem like that, we will just have to work around it and add a solution to it.
I have a question. I know we didn't have this question listed, but like now I'm just genuinely curious because I'm going to pick your brain. Given that we're in Edmonton, it's not the most, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but like it's not the fastest, not the most innovative city when it comes to artistry and design. I find that we're a little slower paced. We kind of get trickled into the design and like inspirations usually trickle into Edmonton. We're not like the hub for creation until we are, hopefully one day. But how do you keep yourself inspired and keep yourself like innovative in your designs while being and living in a city that isn't as like fast paced?
So what I've noticed is Edmonton has come a long ways. There's some really cool creative designers that are in Edmonton, and they are bringing, Vancouver and California and the European style into Edmonton. I really love that type of style as well, and I am trying to, educate and trickle that type of design into Edmonton as well. It's really cool to educate yourself to other countries, because I know Europe is so far ahead of us, especially when they do their design shows and stuff. They come up with the most innovative design. As Canada, we're kind of slower on the back end, but I know a lot of designers like to educate themselves, in the European, what's new in the European style. And then also too is travel, like get into travel, get into education. I know due to the pandemic, we haven't really traveled, but it is on my list now. I want to travel more. I also
travel's huge. It's my inspiration too. Like that's how Pampas Gal started. It was because I was in California.
I love California. Yeah, California style is absolutely stunning. I that is very much my style. And also to Chicago. I went to Chicago 2 years ago. And I love Chicago style. It's very neoclassical, modern.
I love New York, and I feel like Chicago is just like the more upscale New York, because New York is like grungy, like trench coats. You're like, I don't know, it feels a little bit more like down to earth, but like a little dirty.
It's very Sex in the City too. There is some elegant parts there.
Wait, we're talking about New York or Chicago?
Chicago.
Oh yeah.
New York.
New York, yeah. There's definitely some bougie, like for sure. New York has like it's like Manhattan versus like Brooklyn, like what I mean. Like there's like different.
It's very luxe. Very luxe.
Depending on where you go.
If you go uptown in Manhattan,
yeah, for sure.
But I'm excited to start traveling.
Me too.
Yeah. So then we could experience other interior spaces, and then we just get more inspired and come back and bring it to Edmonton.
I just need to be next to an ocean. Like I've been looking at flights to Bali.
Oh my god,
it's freaking far. I know, but I've been like thinking about going to somewhere where a beach, but like completely different. Like not go to Vancouver for the beach. I want to be like next to a body of water with a different culture.
Yeah, I know. I escaped to Vancouver last year. but I do love that. I do love BC. Like,
Yeah.
I need to be by water.
Yes.
And I think it's just something calming and grounding about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I love nature in general. So you've explained a little bit about like what's the benefits of working with an interior designer. What's the benefits of working specifically with you? Like what makes you different from other interior designers?
Wow.
I mean, I know, like I like you're amazing and I love working with you. I feel like you're very personable and yeah, I feel like you're just easy to connect with and you like in my perspective, I guess like I feel like if I have an idea, I know that it's going to be executed and even better than like my idea.
Oh, I try. I try to up the ante a lot.
Yeah.
That's when it's a struggle. It's a good struggle because you bring me the vision, I will create the vision for you.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah.
Like I'll try to use my creative juices and work with you and put it together for you. Mm-hmm. And I love the art behind it. So working with me, I am very personable.
Yeah.
I'm very, I like to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to have fun with and just have fun, create these designs. So what benefits do clients get working with Pampas Gal?
So with Pampas Gal, like I love being like the front facing part of my business. I love interacting with my clients and being able to help them build out the vision. Oftentimes my clients don't know exactly what they want. They just know they want Pampas as like within their design. So just being able to like help them customize and bring a vision to their design and guide them in a certain direction is so fulfilling for me. And they'll be like, I love this. So I usually have like Pinterest boards already pre-built and I'll have different variations of different styles. So not just the styles that I love, but like styles that I could build, but like might be something that is more up their alley. So I don't really, like when working with me, I don't put only my styles that I love first, if that makes sense. I really want to express what my clients want to express with the skill sets that I have.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess like working with me, I love being hands-on with the process.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
And you're also personable too.
Yeah, I try to be. Like, I mean, it's funny because most of my brides, and you know, some people say like, oh, like some brides are really hard to work with. All of my brides are amazing. Like, I just feel like everyone just, we maybe they just gravitate towards my energy, maybe because I put myself out there and like, people can kind of get to see like my personality on Instagram and like, now doing this. So when I do get my clients coming to me, it's like, I just feel like they already know who I am and like, we can just get straight to like business and just like talk about the designs and like what we're trying to build together, without me having to build up too much rapport because they trust me and they know that like I will execute and like build something beautiful for them. Like they can trust me in that. Oh. So knowing and having that trust and building that expectation that I know that like these people can trust me, because Pampas is it's not cheap. Like, you know, it's not budget and like it does hurt the wallet a little bit. So like, you know, just being able to have that assurance is with Pampas Gal is like what I really pride myself in providing. Yeah.
Oh, good. I love working with you.
Yeah, thank you. I wear my heart on my sleeve too.
So what are the principles you live by creating that goes into creating a design?
For me, I want to say I love colors, but my palette is so neutral. But I do like playing with colors and adding like a pop of like rust orange or like a blush pink, like having some sort of like breakup of the neutrals gives that like allows your eye to like see like that contrast in florals. So I do like playing with subtle colors. Like when you only work with neutrals, you have to start getting really creative with what a neutral palette is. So neutrals is not just white and it's not just gray and black, right? Like there's a faint green or like a light brown. Like there's so many and there's different shades of brown. So like playing with colors, you get really creative in building neutrals out. Another thing I love is like textures with florals, especially with florals, like and with dried florals, texture is so important. So being able to see like maybe something is fluffy, but then like contrasting with something that's really dry and like sparse and like almost like crunchy is like what I'm trying to like describe. And then like I guess layers is like something else that I really like to like ensure I have, because it plays on the texture, it plays on the neutral palette that could get a little bit muddled. Layers will just create that like focal point, like you can like see everything. I guess right now I'm talking about like a bouquet. Layers is so important. In a bouquet. But yeah, I guess like layers, textures, and colors are like definitely some of the things. And then the larger, bigger scale stuff is scale. Like what is the room that we're trying to build this in, and how will it look like in front of people? Like, do we want it to be like huge so that the people look a little smaller and we can really emphasize the size of that installation? Yes, and that comes with bridal bouquets too. Like if depending on what she's wearing, what her dress is like maybe the florals need to be more simple, so that the jewels or the neckline of her dress pops, or maybe it's more simple, so then maybe we can go more of a lavish bouquet where it's like flowing and water falling off of her hands.
I love it.
Yeah, so the scale is a big thing too. Yeah.
I love it.
How about you? What are like some design principles you kind of live by when it comes to interior design?
I'm balance.
Ooh.
Balance. So when I look especially when it comes to say a kitchen or a feature wall or something, I always want to make sure everything is balanced in the room. So if when things like kind of out, I want to make sure it's balanced. I like to add emphasis to the space. So I am very statement, contrast orientated. You'll notice in my designs, I really like to add in masculine details.
I love that.
I love bringing in masculine details because I like to marry them with feminine details.
Love it. And I really get that from your Instagram too. Like it has like that pop of black and like that like high contrast vibe. Especially when you choose your lighting too. Like I can see like the lighting is like, let's say black trim, but then you get like gold like accents and stuff like that. I don't know. I think I love your style.
I love playing up those type of statement pieces because I want them to stand out and your eye is gravitating to each of the statements in the room. I'm very contrasty, but I also tame my design style a bit, but I do like to add in a little of those statement pieces, whether if they're just small or big. I also want to make sure the design is very in harmony.
Yes.
So it's consistent and it flows throughout the space. Scale, like you said, I know you touched on scale, but scale is a very big importance when it comes to interior design, especially when it comes to how big the space is or how small, or even if you're doing a feature wall. Its proportion and scale is very huge because it really depends on what you want to emphasize in the room.
That makes sense.
And those are the principles I like to live by. I also like to bring in the 5 senses into my space, or when it creates a space. I know I actually did a presentation at the wedding
Bridal Expo. Yes.
And it was really cool because these 5 senses is a really good base for everything when you come to creating something, whether it's an event or a space. So bringing in those 5 senses, again, we're creating that experience for the client, whether it's residential or commercial design.
Yeah.
For like it's like a good base to work off, like a foundation.
Yeah. And I want to like list out examples because like when we did the speech, we like we list out examples, and I want to share this with you, you listeners. So like, for example, like the eyesight is what you see, the aesthetics, you know, like for in here, it's the Pampas, it's like the white wainscoting on these walls. The next one could be taste. And how did we describe taste?
Taste is where it's essentially where you're going to lay out for, you could lay out for food, so a kitchen.
Yeah.
You could lay out for the bar.
Yeah.
Or it could be as simple as when you create a table and putting wine bottles on there, and that's where people are going to want to gravitate and taste or eat, or
So like, for example, like when you host an event, you might want to have, you know, appetizers, because it allows and choosing what type of appetizers for your attendees to taste will be a defining factor of like your impression, your brand, and your like, so like, you know, for example, if you bring a boxes of pizza to an event, that's so different than like bringing a box of pastries, croissants, or something that's like locally made. Like they're both delicious, but like it sets a different tone for your experience of the event. Like pizza's more casual, and like croissant is like, oh, I gotta be maybe a little bit more proper.
And then twisting that into interior design, when you are designing, say, a kitchen, you're like, okay, I'm gonna throw in a bar. People are going to want to gravitate to the bar and pour themselves a drink, right? That's taste in the space, right? Yeah.
The next one is, what else we have?
We have taste, sight,
feel, touch,
texture.
So texture is maybe the fabrics that is in the space, maybe the pillows. What else? Smell. Candles.
Oh, I love candles. Yeah. That's one thing. If you know me and you've been in my space, I have a candle each time.
She lights like 3 candles that are 3 wicks at the same time. It's like a blended mixture of smells. But they all go well together. They're like all sweet.
I'm a candle girl. Yeah. So yeah, if you've been in my space, you I'm sure you've smelled like there's a candle each time you're there.
Yeah, you can guarantee her house will always smell nice. What's the last one? Hearing.
Yeah. Sound.
So playing some music at a restaurant, or even like when you walk into an event, like having some like subtle music in the background.
And sound sets off ambiance, as well. Sight also sounds off ambiance, or because you could play with the lighting.
Yeah, lighting falls under visual, right?
Yeah,
like eyesight. Yeah.
Maybe if we should do an episode just on these 5 senses, it'd be really cool.
I think,
and the psychology behind it.
I think even like listen to more examples. Like when you said sound, the one thing I'm thinking about too is like also not only what you want to hear, but what you don't want to hear. So like, for example, like honking horns out, like police, I don't know, like honking horns out on the streets, or like hearing traffic. Like that's something that like people say all the time when they move into a home. They don't want to hear their dog barking and from their neighbors, like, or like they don't want to hear moving traffic, maybe living downtown a condo too low of a level. Well, you'll hear traffic every day.
And then you spin that into designing a space, especially for a new build. We're gonna have to put some extra insulation in the wall. Sound barrier.
Yeah. So that all comes into play, like what you want and what you don't want.
We could go on. So going into our principles, what is your style? I think this is kind of cool for the listeners to really kind of know what is our true style.
I think we actually touched on this a little bit in the beginning of our episodes, but like my style, I would say, is for Pampas Gal and versus like my other stuff is very different. But like for Pampas Gal, I go for like soft neutrals. I want it to be earthy. I want it to embody freedom and spirituality and like mindfulness and like centering yourself. I want people to feel comfort and as if they're living in their, sanctuary that like just makes you feel like you're at home, at peace. I don't know how else to describe that, but like just like a calm, minimalistic, neutral.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe Pampas Gal.
It's really, yeah.
And then when
It's calming.
Yeah. Calming is what I aim for because
Yeah.
I really value mental health. So being able to use my brand and really embody that, I want people to purchase my products and feel that, or at least create a space that is their own sanctuary. Yeah, but it's actually a little different than my personal style. My personal style, I would say, is like a bit more edgy,
It
more
is.
like New York, more like
Yeah.
LA a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love like the street style,
Urban.
urban, and but also still making it like a little feminine and chic. I love playing with masculine textures, so for me, that really comes through, I would say, in my photography. So when I photograph for clients, I really want to embody a down-to-earth but authentic and sort of like I want to say masculine, but it's not really masculine. I want to really fully embody someone's like full self. So not just the feminine. So a lot of companies and brands come to me because they feel like they get to like be themselves in front of the camera, and oftentimes when a camera's up, you kind of like get like tight and kind of you don't really know like how to be comfortable. So I create a space for my clients where no matter where we're at, we can be like at Manchester Square, we can be in a studio like here. Because I'm the photographer, I get to create a safe space for you to like feel yourself, and that will really come true out into the photos. And then when you put it onto social media, you really feel like that like was a true like moment for you. So
It does pop out in your works. Like, I feel like you achieve that look.
yay.
Yeah.
Yay, that is my goal. How about yourself? Like, what is your style? How do you describe it?
My style, so my interior style is very I love traditional style.
Yeah.
I also love modern. So I like to twist them together.
Yeah.
So I love wall textures like wainscoting, and love to bring in that masculine detail like blacks and, really bold details. And I love a classic traditional home,
Yeah.
but it has a little bit of edge of modernism in it too.
Yeah.
So I'm not too modern, but I'm not too traditional either.
Yeah.
So, and bringing in, nature details too.
Yeah.
That also will ground your soul. My personal style, I actually am, I think I have two personality styles when it comes to dressing up.
Yeah.
When I dress down, I'm in my kicks and jeans and t-shirt. But when you see me out dressed up, I like to,
You're more feminine.
feminine and sophisticated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do like to have a pop of bold color,
Yeah.
but then I will like ground it with like a blazer or a skirt. Like I'm not too loud.
Yeah.
But
But like you can see the sophistication, like the touch of class.
yeah, like a little peep.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm still like not like conservative, right?
Yeah.
I do like to get fun and wear like the colors and stuff like that.
Yeah. I love that.
I know we were talking, you're like, oh, I cannot wear that. You're like, great.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I cannot. Nope.
But I'm like, yeah, I'll wear it.
You will push my boundaries. Like you'll inspire me to push through those.
Yes.
Those. Yeah.
You're gonna see her in hot pink.
Never. So we had some goals last week. I said that I wanted to expand my sales channels, or at least like not expand, but like really like hone into nailing those sales channels and getting my products onboarded. And then you said that you wanted to focus on your training for your marathon. Or is it 10K run? And then you also wanted to stay more focused.
Yeah.
And so how have you been on that goal?
So we did train last Sunday. We ran almost 10K out, or 3K outside.
Yeah.
So it's getting warmer outside as we look out the window.
Yeah, I'm
It's
so excited.
really nice.
I went for a walk yesterday. It was the most amazing thing.
Oh yeah. I'm training outside now with my cousin Leanne, and I still go to the gym and train in gym. But my goal is to keep focused. Like I'm gonna live by that for the rest of the summer, because I know how overwhelming and busy it's gonna get.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep focused.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be my goal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mine, so last week I said I wanted to really onboard to my sales channels, and I feel like I'm actually making progress in staying connected with the people who are helping me onboard. I've delegated most of them to people, so now it's just a matter of like pushing it along the lines and just making sure that it's like making progress every single day. So yeah, that's it. It's happening. It's not happening as fast as I want it to be, but it is moving along. So that's great. And then yeah, my goal for the next I guess week is just to really start to create bigger wedding pieces so I can actually start to advertise, because like right now I have wedding clients, but I don't have anything to like really showcase that's like truly mine. So I'll probably maybe use the studio space to just take some photos of those bigger giant pieces. So yeah, that's kind of my next week's goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. What's your next week's goal?
My next week's goal is I want to be able to get some sleep.
Yeah. I think you need that.
Yeah.
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 I agree. Like I think you can only grow so much until you like start to deplete your own self-care. And so I think you're at the place to take care of yourself so that you can grow again.
Yeah, and I always tell Galee, I was like, oh my God, you're robbing. I started a schedule now.
Yeah.
I live by this schedule now, and I'm like, okay, I could hang out with you for this, and then okay, I could do this between this and this time. I'm like, whoa.
It actually frees up your time, doesn't it? Like,
it does.
Because you know that you've accounted for it somewhere. You've time blocked, you've logged that you need, of course, like you need to get this and this done, but it's like now you time slotted it, you know it's gonna get done.
Yeah.
It allows you to like really live in the moment and just like not think about it. And
I
like
agree.
Like today she's like, hey, want to go for lunch after? I'm like, whoa, this is new. I'm like, and for me, I know what I need to get done today. Yeah. So like, I'm like, I can
only have an hour.
Yeah.
An hour. We have an hour window.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for hanging out with us, getting to know more of our design side. We have an exciting announcement. Next episode 7, we have a guest host. Her name is Victoria Williams. She is a filmmaker, and we get to pick her brain on the topic of the art behind of filmmaking, which is really interesting and really cool. And we are very excited to have her to be one of our guests.
I'm so excited. Like, we're fully feeding you guys the creative side now. Like, that is going to be such a cool person to interview, because we touched a little bit in a previous episode about like behind the veil, or like perception versus reality. And so like to really get to pick a brain of like a filmmaker, I feel like that is like the bigger picture of like perception versus reality.
Oh yes. Yeah. So stay tuned and hang out with us in episode
7.
I know.
Wow.
That's crazy. So thanks.